So, just trying to set up YouTube chat. Scene, browser, source. Existing YouTube chat. Oh, hey, we have YouTube chat. Right. Excellent. So I guess I can close this YouTube chat. Just trying to set up YouTube chat. Scene, browser, source. I need to close that. Alrighty, so this should go something like here. I don't know where would be a good place. I haven't really thought about the safe area. Okay, that is a YouTube chat box. There you go. I've just been learning how to do that for the first time. Something like that. Okay. Right, so what we're going to be doing today is something along the lines of this thing that I did just after Christmas, 2023. I predicted what I thought the front-end landscape would be like for 2024. So we're going to do that again for next year. And I'm just going to... so I don't know how much writing we're actually going to get done. This is going to be just making an outline. Oh, and I should actually finish off this tweet saying like the stream is happening. So now streaming what my now streaming my writing process. I'll be writing my front-end predictions for what's for next year. Come keep me company and give me your thoughts. Oh. Copy stream here. Okay. Now I need an image. Let's sort this out 1 moment. Okay. Can't have 2 exclamation marks, that would be too much. I'll be writing my front-end predictions for 2026. Come keep me company and give me your thoughts for 2026 as well. Link below. Right, and then the stream is here. This should work out. Post all, see how it goes. Right, summon the hordes. Okay. Cool. Right, the hordes know. Let's see how things go. So, last time when I did front-end predictions, I focused on a few things. First, I started off with a review of the year so far, and what did I have? I had a big focus on server-side rendering. Talking about how Versal was looking like a very significant player, really trying to pull people into React on the server, and not just React, but also things like, I'm sure back then SvelteKit was beginning to become a thing. Okay, and the Ruby crowd were making moves back then. Sorry, yeah, I've just eaten, so there'll be some digestive noises. Let's see. So HTMX, yeah, geez, that's a name I haven't seen in a while. I don't know if they've been shadow banned or something on Twitter, but they used to really be coming up. and I guess they've sort of faded into obscurity in some sense since then. React Server Components has definitely become more of a thing in React Native. So what I'm doing right now is just looking back and seeing how many of these predictions actually came true. Expo Router definitely went from strength to strength from that, but I don't feel like the whole world is going big on server components yet in native mobile apps. So I think still kind of just trundling along there. Backends other than Node.js. What was this about? Okay, fine. Yeah. AI. Oh yeah, so this was the year ChatGPT come out in 2022 or something. So this will be like the year after that. Back then the question was, will machines take our jobs? And we've kind of had this. We've had just several years where that question's always been in the background, but never. I don't think that's. I think we're starting to understand. There's a certain amount of layoffs, of course, but AI most definitely. We're past some of the rose-tinted lens phase. We're starting to realize, yeah, there's just some things that AI you can't just replace for humans and expect to run a business properly. So I continue to feel safe in saying if you lose your job to AI, it may not really be due to AI. It may just be because the market was trying to take an excuse to shed your job. I think I still believe in that. For now, I don't think AI is quite that all-seeing, all-doing just yet. What else do we have? I was thinking about ChatGPT and Copilot, and of course now Copilot is just one of many names. There's like I'm not a huge AI user, so I don't know the names of things, but there's Claude Code, there's Bugbot, and some of these things will be things using other things. I don't know. There's Codex. There's all sorts of things trying to muscle in on the AI code assistance market, and of course all sorts of models with which. So there's both IDEs and models, and websites like T3 Chat, so services, all sorts of different ways to consume AI. Let's see. Yeah, each of the big tech players has been taking their own angle on it. That continues to be true. Apple has not been impressing on this front so far. Google has been stepping up. Google more recently have been causing a buzz by building with their TPUs. I don't fully understand what it's all about, but it sounds like they've got a kind of GPU which NVIDIA maybe don't make so much of, and so this allows two giants to operate in this space. And the fact that Google are snatching some contracts away from NVIDIA is exciting. So we have a multi-giant sector when it comes to building GPUs at this point, which is very good for reducing the bubble risk, not putting everything on one giant's shoulders for GPU production. Right, but moving on. I was even talking about TL draw. Yeah, so turning. Yeah, I have definitely seen the limitations of AI when it comes to saying, please generate me an SVG of, even just a drawing of a cat. I still can't do that. It's just dreadful. generating components for your designs, that's kind of different matter. Because designs are so rectangular, and there's lots of designs have such intrinsic, here's your source code and here's the design that comes out of it. It is something you can actually train on maybe a bit more efficiently, get some results out of that. So I've not really been keeping my eye on Figma, apart from the fact that they are now at quarter of the value of their original IPO price, which is clearly sad for them after the big win they got from the breakup fee with who was it? Adobe. So that's what I was saying about AI. Yeah, I'm embarrassingly not a great talker on the topic of AI. But browser engines, a bit more. So yes, Ladybird has continued to attract funding. I haven't heard much more about hires. I assume their team largely looks the same as before. They're continuing to renew sponsors, which is all good stuff. Servo, I haven't checked in on lately, but it's... what's the deal with it? It's close to Ladybird in terms of web conformance. I think Ladybird overtook it. So it kind of makes you wonder, like, so what is Servo's focus really? Obviously, like the last I heard about this was the Igalia engineering effort, where they, they put some full-time staff on it. So would be interesting to see what Servo's up to, but quite honestly, I've not heard noise out of it the last year at all. Shadow, so work on Shadow has, as far as I know, just stopped in favour of Pour4. It's funny, back in this year, like Pour4 didn't even get a mention. I guess it just didn't even exist back then. Pour4 I think will be exciting, as Pour4 has got very impressive startup times, and part of that is down to it being able to slim down to the tiniest possible binary of just the things you need. So, good luck any of the more established runtimes like Node.js and Bun and everything competing with a runtime that is as close as you get to the ideal of writing JavaScript and just getting a teeny tiny binary. Yeah, so keep your eye on not Shadow but Pour4 for next year. That one of the things, yeah, let's actually note that down. Pour4, server side applications, or should I say cloud edge? Server side / edge, just cloud applications. Should be good. All right, that's the thing. Static Hermes is on its way, in the sense that it's now been renamed to Static Hermes is now Hermes V1, or rather Static Hermes was referring to a thing which is a bit less, it feels like I think a feature of the next generation Hermes, and now they call them the next generation Hermes V1, and Static Hermes is sort of a feature within that, and but I don't want to talk much deeper than that with any level of authority. But so yeah, we've in terms of relevance of Static Hermes, I think definitely, I'm sure Meta are playing around with it. I've genuinely not heard of anyone employing it in React Native. There was a PR done by a community member to bring to make it possible to use Static Hermes in React Native, but since then, like Hermes V1, I've really still not heard of anyone trying out those static Hermes features in their apps. So I think it'll be a thing eventually, but still kind of brewing on that front. Stable API. Let's not get into that. I need to dig up some old tweets to. I think. Oh yeah, okay. I think I remember the deal with stable API. It's stable insofar as it's based on. I hope I'm not getting this wrong, but it's based on some rather stable STL types that don't break very often. But in the terms of being truly API stable, it's not quite that. But I don't pretend to be a huge expert on it. Basically, what would satisfy me is getting Node API support, and that is one thing I do want to mention, like Node API adoption. Node API support in, what should I call this, React Native? In a mixture of Hermes and React Native, because there's an engine component and a runtime component. Okay, so that'll be interesting to talk about. Back then I was talking about platform challenges of supporting some bulky APIs like Intel and some slow APIs like Date. It was slow for its own reasons. I've really not heard much more movement on that. The last time I heard it being discussed, the latest ideas were, well, maybe we just call out to JSC. Or we call out to JSC to get Intel for free, and maybe call out to JSC for a faster Date. I'm not too sure about what their plans were for Date. But yeah, maybe Static Hermes will be the answer to that. I'm not really sure. Static Hermes doesn't directly address Intel, apart from maybe giving you yet another option to access some native stuff. But if but short of someone actually producing an Intel library, like a drop-in, that is the puzzle piece you need towards that. But it's not going to be. There is no way to make such a thing small. Sorry then. Let's see. On to run times. Oh, look, there was a mention of Port 4. Okay, so that was just beginning back in 2023. Quick.js, interesting. So there's been certainly less buzz about Quick.js this year, I think. Yeah, Quick.js definitely more of a topic in other years. Okay. Port 4 indeed was worth keeping eyes on. That's a prediction that went correctly. On to runtimes. Was Bun 2023? It was. Well, it was October 2023 when they announced their seed funding. And they have just been acquired by Anthropic for an undisclosed amount of money, but once Anthropic passed $1 billion of something, I don't know if that's liquid revenue or some other term, but $1 billion, some kind of metric, is when they bought Bun, and Bun's very happy with that, as that now means they no longer have to think about survival, and they can focus on the work. It sounds like, naturally they'll be requested to make some features that play into Anthropic's missions, but still, as ever, they want to make Node stuff, improve Node conformance and stuff. But originally, so when Bun first was announced, again, this is when they got their seed funding back in October 2023. They said that in terms of long-term funding, they'll be interested in providing cloud hosting, and I think there may have been a mention of CI. I'm not too sure about that, but it's very interesting that just 3 months after the release of Bun came 3 months after the seed round of Bun came out ChatGPT, which changed everything. And so in the face of that, obviously, you want to reassess your mission, obviously. And yeah, just 2 years later, they pivoted successfully into the AI movement, which kind of came out of nowhere. It didn't really sound like they were doing AI relevant stuff day to day. It kind of took me off guard. Certainly, they made sure their network requests are super efficient. They got like lots of streaming things from day one, and that's relevant to streaming LLM responses. Issues, yeah. Who knows how many issues they got by now? Who cares? They're doing perfectly well. Windows support has actually reached a point of satisfaction, I believe. It's Windows is less of a second-class citizen. It has got properly good support, to my understanding. Okay, cross-platform frameworks. How did things go back then? Okay, there was a revelation back then that there were 6 times more jobs in React Native and Flutter this year, 2023. That may be true in certain territories, but in Japan, Flutter most definitely has more opportunities. It's got more. It's got more meetups. It's got more conferences. It's got more jobs than React Native has. So let's hope React Native can do better. Let's hope Expo can make a bit more of an expansion into at least the Japan area where we know it's doing badly. So expansion of Expo and verse React Native into the east would be nice. Yes, these two left Google. Evangelize the Swift UI instead. Ah dear. I'm still not on board with Swift UI. I could talk about Swift UI, I suppose. Ooh, I might at this rate I might just move into this tab. So where will cross-platform frameworks? Okay. Killed by Google. I'm trying to think of anything notable that's been killed by Google lately. I know 1 or 2 things were killed this year, but they're not quite front of my mind. Okay, maybe not that interesting. Indeed, React Native has really kept up this growth. We can talk about React Native version 1, because I think React Native version 1 has a massive chance of landing during 2026. We already have a first non-breaking release this year, so I'll be interested in, and they've been moving towards. We've been making what's the word? A stable API. I'm interested in a stable ABI for this would allow, what's it called? Let's just move that overlay over here, I suppose. A stable API would be needed for community modules to code against, so that you could pre-build community modules in the full knowledge that they're never going to break, even for React Native updates. Interesting. That is interesting. Back then, 2023, Amazon announced that React Native had been their technology of choice for several flagship apps, and that include. Now we know that they're using it in Vegas, so we can possibly talk about Vegas. Sorry, it is quite light. I'm staying up to digest a bit longer before I go to bed, so you'll hear some yawns. I do apologise. Developer experience has improved. Software mentions new IDE. Yes, that is still a thing. Chrome DevTools, still a thing. We could talk about React Native. Should we have a whole section on React Native? Big OS. DevTools? Maybe worth touching on. I don't know how much I would have to say. Novel about DevTools. Expo has done too much to mention. What was this linked to? Copy that link. Right click doesn't exist. If I click on this, I'm going to lose. Okay. So there will be a year in review post about a week from now, probably. Okie dokie. Let's see. What else was I talking about last time? Expo modules came out back then. Jeez. What's changed on the Expo modules front? There has been Nitro modules. I'll have to check what year they came out. I don't know if it was this year, maybe the year before. Expo Router has been pretty wild. We'll see. I don't really have much to say about Expo Router. Certainly not like newsworthy, like in terms of predictions to make about it. I don't really, nothing comes to mind. More people will use it. It will get better, fancier UI, more native-like UI. Web conformance. Web conformance is improving, has improved. Yeah, what I'm sad about is we've got like read-only web conformance. So actual mutable DOM is something that React DOM can do, but React Native Fabric will never be able to do, as it's just architected deliberately like that, so that we can throw away renders for async React. Alright, Taurai engaging with server. Oh yes, that was interesting. Do I have anything to say about Taurai? Not really. I'm no longer on the working group, so I've not been like right in the weeds. I've genuinely not heard much out of Taurai in the last year. Dioxys would be fun. Whoops, Dioxys would be fun to check back in on, because Dioxys has, of course, the Blitz renderer, which is based on Taffy, and Taffy has got grids. We could talk about grids as part of React Native, CSS, grid support, anything else. What could I imagine in terms of extra CSS features? So obviously, I say obviously, my wish list is position fixed. Would be absolutely game changing. Flow layout would be super good. But yeah, CSS grid solves some problems. Okay. What else have we got? We have got, Taffy. Kotlin multi-platform. This year I have heard certainly buzz about it. It keeps coming up in conversation, but I don't yet get the sense it's a React Native killer in any way. And of course React Native can naturally use these things one way or another if needed. But yeah, it doesn't feel like we're all gonna stop making React Native apps because this thing is so good. Oh, links should get mention. Links, maybe mention of Node API, maybe mention of native scripts. So there was some interest from the links team in basically conformance with other ecosystems, and in fact even React, some level of React Native interop. I wouldn't be surprised if that took their interest. NativeScript, yeah, I was checking on NativeScript. What will they be up to? Secret stuff. Secret stuff I just heard about. Yeah, secret. Should I say secret big tech stuff? Question mark. What else is there to say about NativeScript? Well, obviously, like checking on Node API. I feel Node API is all blocked on one PR getting merged into React Native. So it's kind of like we've done so much to push it forwards, but there really is just this one big puzzle piece we're needing, or like domino to fall before the rest of the things we've got lined up can start falling like good dominoes do. UI frameworks. Solid. Genuinely, this is actually something Jay Maestrich was saying. It really is all about UI frameworks equals React. Solid is doing better than ever. Svelte is still around doing innovations. Vue is still around. Of course, has that tight ecosystem relation with Vite and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, what people are using in industry overwhelmingly is React, and it continues to go that way. And you continue to have good justification to do so on the native front and on the web front. Web components ain't happening. There was a renaissance in web components. I've not heard anything about it since. Dominic Ganaway and Rich Harris, yes, they're still both at Versal. At least I think Dominic still is as well. Hang on. Maybe he is doing something new. Let's have a search. Dominic Ganaway. What is he doing? He's at Attio. That is his new thing. Oh, yes. Could talk about Versal. There have been departures. There's Apple departures as well. there. Apple really dragging their heels on AI. Or maybe we just have a sort of AI section. Apple lagging behind, but surely cooking something. Google with the TPUs. And NVIDIA. Did they miss a target? Oh well, I know Oracle missed a target. Oracle delaying something, some deliverable until 2028, causing the stock price to take a hit. 14% in a couple of days, I think it was. NVIDIA, circular economy is one thing to talk about. Can they keep up? And then we got OpenAI supplying Apple. Dependence on ChatGPT. So Google have got their TPUs, and obviously they got their own Gemini. Oh, actually, Gemini adoption going up relative to ChatGPT, thanks to Google search, maybe. OpenAI supplying Apple with ChatGPT. Siri, not there yet. React forget. Whatever happened with that? I have forgotten. So React, we've got React forget. What else happened this year? React compiler is a successful thing. Build systems, okay. Build systems, dev tooling. TurboPack is now the default for Next.js. Was that the case? It feels like this article should be should I do a review or predictions or both? Bundlers. I don't feel like there's been... Have there been new bundlers? I think for once, no new bundlers. Hope I'm not missing that meme of like leaving your kid behind at the at school. I hope I'm not overlooking a bundler. There's been Bun, but Bun was already bundling for a while, for years before. Okay, Metro still for React Native. Yeah, still no Vite for React Native. I do think that's a shame. Well, I mean, there's things like Haul, which made it possible to use Webpack for React Native. Now, whether you could use something like Vite through Haul, then maybe there's some solution. But basically, people aren't using Vite for React Native. Biome versus void zeros stack. I remember this section I did briefly because I really wanted to just submit this article by the end of the day, so I just touched on it briefly. Yeah, oh jeez, this is back when there was the prettier formatting versus linting rules exodus, basically. That bounty was actually to light a fire under the prettier community more than anything, to fight back. Yep, bun, fast package installs, that's all true. And then only at that point did I move on to my predictions. So what we got? Yes, back then I was very interested in the fact that everyone seemed to want to own the whole vertical, and owning the vertical, we have bun, we have void zero, Deno, I have genuinely heard so little about Deno this last year. Supply chain attacks, Deno is probably pretty. One of the whole points of Deno was to reduce supply chain attacks, but they're still happening. If not via Deno, they're still happening at all. So that's good for Deno to drive people to that. But still, I don't think Deno is a frequent tech stack choice. But Deno continues to secure funding. I think Deno had a Series B funding round. Or maybe, I hope I'm getting it right. That's Deno. Versal, yeah, Versal's got a bit of everything. Less movement this year, less machinations, less political moves, unless you count the literal political moves that were not well received. Turbo Repo, Satori. Okay, what were the... oh man, this was audacious. Cut out the middleman. Yeah, well, it's true. They did. Hang on. So back here, I was thinking they could improve their margins by rolling their solutions instead. Maybe with V. I don't know the stack for V0. Then their most visible product lately. V0. Do I think people will be building apps with just AI generators like V0 or even just components? I just don't see it. Maybe I'm too much of a dinosaur. But I haven't seen them doing much cutting out of the middleman. As things unique to their stack, well, I mean, look no further than TurboPack, which for now really was made for Next.js. You can't really use it with other stuff. It's not a drop-in replacement for Webpack. At least all of that is my understanding of it. Trap people in their stack. Can't say whether sort of my opinions on any of these things have really changed in the last year. I can't really say that any of these have been like more proved before than they were, or less, or more disproven than previously. A whole section on Expo. Surely we should have that. React Native. Put that around here. Expo. Who could stand in the way of Vercel? Well, Expo. Indeed, Expo stood up with Expo Router. We were talking about Expo Router in this article somewhere. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we were. I was saying Vercel is comparatively thin on mobile, and since then they have employed Fernando Rojo, I don't know. Vercel, where's it gone? We've got Fernando Rojo, head of mobile. Could talk about that move. Expo versus Vercel. People have been talking less about Vercel's privileged access to the React team lately. It's just not been a news topic. Okay. Web will become more diverse. Dang, this happened. This actually happened. Where is my Apple section? This is the anti-competition legislation. Digital Markets Act. And that includes Japan now able, well, sometime this month will be able to use alternative browsers, payments, I think, and app stores. Okay. Apple AI, Safari, still dragging its feet. So I think the anti-competition legislation caused Safari to speed up its development to catch up with all the things that they were going to be needed to implement due to the Digital Markets Act. But it feels like they kind of slowed down on their conformance attempts lately. Ladybird's getting better and better. It's getting more conformant. Performance is still something they're going to come back to. It's just not the first priority. So their version 1 sort of daily drivable or beta, I don't know if you'd even call it beta, browser, they still think it's a while out, like a year from now. Manifest v2, yeah, that was unpopular. That did drive people to some other browsers. I don't really care too much to talk about all that. Ooh, Firefox I wouldn't say has stepped up to the plate. Firefox hasn't seen a resurgence. AI is just getting started. Yeah, I kind of feel like AI has been largely not all that much change since ChatGPT first came out. There's ways to integrate it more into your workflow than ever before, but it's still just ChatGPT. It still feels a lot like the original ChatGPT offering, just in different shape. My eyes were on Apple. They better do something. They've had ages now. They have back. Yeah, they've got so much spare cash, but they still just can't deliver. I'm excited for their onboard models, but whenever I use an AI feature on my iPhone, it just always has to fall back to online services like ChatGPT. It's very irritating. AI. We should probably talk about 11 Labs. Okay. Mobile dev won't change that much. True. Yeah. I don't really feel like camps are particularly moving from one to another. If you're gonna write Swift, you're gonna continue using Swift UI, etc., etc. Okay. Right, so this is a heck of a list now. It's something. It's not really arranged as review versus predictions. So, well, I think this has been a good thinking session. So, yeah, I think it's about time I started heading to bed as I've now. Yep, I've got my digestion done, which I was aiming to do. And so I think I can just about head to bed at this point. So, thank you all for coming along, and see you next time.